It feels like, if you look at markets, to me, it feels like the big question right now is, why are bonds and stocks both rallying at the same time? And in fact, if you take a look at this particular chart, pull it up on the GTV function, if you're a Bloomberg client, you can see that yields have been trending down, just as stocks have been trending up, of course. Both of those things implying very different pictures for the global economy. Which side are you on? Are stocks right or are bonds right?
Well, if I'm a new buyer, bonds are not the place to be with lower rates. If I'm holding bonds, that's great. But I think the place to be would be in stocks. And by the way, gold. Just think about it. If you're not getting anything in the bank with these low rates, it makes sense to have a little gold in your portfolio. And I believe that's happening, in addition to the fact that you have Russians and other central bankers stocking up on gold. Again, I bring up the cryptocurrency issue because with the kind of liquidity you're seeing out there, people are going to be wondering, what is currency? Where do I go? What's the place? And I believe stocks are the way to be, because there you can see the dividends and you can see the earnings of the company that would be adjusted to the inflation rate.
Mark, I am literally like the horse that you can take me to the trough and I will drink from it. You've mentioned Bitcoin twice now, so let's go there. Let's go there. Is it a store of value? Can we break higher? Have you bought any recently? $11,847.77 this morning. Are you a buyer, and why?
I'm not a buyer, but I realize that it is something we have to account for. The reason why I'm not a buyer is that I don't know what the real value is. And unless it's so widely held and accepted, then that's a different story. Because let's face it, all currency is based on faith. And if you have faith in the dollar, or faith in the renminbi, or faith in the euro, whatever it is, then you can use it. But the problem with these cryptocurrencies is not that widely used, except in a lot of illicit activity. As you know, a lot of the drug transactions and things like that are taking place with cryptocurrencies. But look, at the end of the day, there are many people who do believe in it, and if it continues and grows, then I would probably have to be a buyer and be involved in this.
All right, I'm going to avoid crypto, and I'm going to go back to emerging markets. And Mark, you've alluded to this, but we have seen this massive buildup in negative yielding debt in developed markets, and that's forcing a lot of investors into higher yielding assets, such as EM bonds. But of course, when you get a lot of investors pouring into those assets, you do have the potential for bubbles or misvaluation, and you also have the potential for, let's say, fiscal overspending on the part of some EMs. Is that something that you're concerned about at the moment?
Yes, and no question about it. I'm very concerned about this. You see, this is the problem. I think the central banks around the world have been rather irresponsible in the way they've handled this whole situation. They're looking at inflation rates, and they believe that that's the way they can decide on what to do with the liquidity in the system. But let's face it, the inflation rates really don't tell you very much. Productivity is increasing, and you're seeing products being made now at half the price they were 5 years ago. So you're actually in a deflationary environment. And of course, they're trying to create inflation by pumping more money into the system. And of course, lower and lower rates means that the market is not really determining what the rate should be. So we're really in a very, very confusing situation. And this creates possibilities for real crises.
Mark, sometimes we look at the carry trade within emerging markets. I've been reading one or two different notes, and they say that the yen really isn't the top FX trade this week. That goes to the Turkish lira. In other words, buying Turkish lira, shorting the Korean won, delivers a carry trade return of approximately 26%. Quite staggering, actually. I was really quite amazed. Where is the big FX carry trade for you? Would you like that kind of combination, or how do you play the EMFX space?
I usually don't do those kinds of trades because it's very, very dangerous as you can just look at the Turkish lira, what's happened in a very short period of time. So you can really get killed with those kind of trades. But if you want to take a chance, probably looking at the South African rand in relationship to either the Japanese currency or the euro, or take the Brazilian real would be another one to look at. But again, this is real speculation, at a high rate of speculation.
Mark, very quickly, I've got Citi saying the EM growth picture is the worst it has been outside episodes of severe sudden shocks. Describe the growth picture for EM for us.
The growth picture, is my way of looking at it, is very, very good, simply because of the reforms that are taking place. You know, it depends on your time frame. Let's take Brazil. If you take a short time frame, let's say a year, the outlook is not good because the reforms are not kicking in yet. The same thing is true of India. Although India is growing at a high rate, it'll probably be growing at a higher rate once the Modi reforms, and if the Modi reforms take place. So I think, yeah, it's fair to say that, but long term it looks good.